Hi again, it's Laura from Hyperstamper, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I have another journal. We are closing up on the week of August 1st with the 10. I've got this one here, and then the next video will be on this little special journal here. So today's journal is going to be this magical book called Sunshine Sketches of a Little Town. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, how sweet is that? And what I've done here is I've just added this is not antique here, but this piece here of a doily is, and I have added an antique brass handle here, or door pull. So it just makes it a fun little way to open it up. So this came out of a library. So I left in all the library stamps and bits here. And it's got a signature here of somebody who probably owned the book. And I left in, as always, the original pages. By the way, it's inscribed here from 1919. And you can journal on these original pages or just leave them intact, whatever tickles your fancy. Just added a little bit of lace here. And everything in here, of course, is authentic, ephemera, except for these few tea-dyed pages that I added and hand stamped for you to give you some extra journaling space. Made this pocket out of an antique book page, and a little insert from a title page here is The People's Best. That was a journal from last year, actually. And look at this really pretty postcard. And that is from the early 1900s. Isn't that pretty? To get full color glossy like that was actually a big deal. That probably cost the person who purchased it a little extra money, probably 5 cents instead of 2 cents. Here is a vintage 1950s bingo card and a vintage doily here that I made into a pocket and slid in this wildflower page. This is, it looks like more hawkweed. That's very pretty. And that came from this little wildflower book from England. And that's vintage as well. I tea-dyed that just to go with the neutral tones of my style. And speaking of which, because it's all neutral, you can add all the color you want to this, and your things will stand out amongst the neutral tones, which I think is lovely. This is from the original book here. I wanted to keep that with it. That was page 10. Isn't he dapper? And that's the front page there as well. I made this tag here out of vintage ephemera, and tucked back here is a little envelope page that you can journal on as well, and that came from an antique book too, and vintage sewing pattern paper, and that came from a 1960s ledger page, or sorry, 1920s ledger page. And this one I had a hard time parting with, but there were more squirrel images in this book. I love my squirrels. I'm looking at one right now at the side door, wanting to be fed, and they've got those images on one side and then crochet patterns on the other. And that came from this, oh sorry, it's heavy, magnificent 1915 book, The Girl's Own Annual. I am in love with that book, so you're going to be seeing a lot of those pages in my journals coming up, as well as a few other real treats that I have recently acquired. So I'll tuck that back in. This lovely little image. Isn't that pretty? From a children's book. And I love that it has the lighthouse here behind the bridges and the little boats. And that came from the Big Story book, 1940s. And this here is just hooked on here. And that is a 1899 opera star, Emma Ames, as Elsa. And that came from a book, The Guide to the Opera, which is a journal that has sold in the last few months, and I know the owner loves opera, so I'm pleased she got that, and I have saved one of these for her. And there's the other side of that doily. Look at this pretty title page, When the Rainbow Set Its Arch in the Sky. I love it. Vintage stamps, some hand stamping. This is from that wonderful children's book, I Wonder Why. Is that fun? How dirt is made. Just come to my house, I'll show you how dirt is made. This is just a little piece of ephemera I found in a book. I didn't want to throw it out. It's just the pricing of a bag, I think. I'm not sure, but it's really sweet. So you get to keep that. And just some Monopoly money here from the 1930s. Not just, it's wonderful. And I made this pocket at the Bobbsey Twins book page. And this page here, actually, that it's mounted on is from a 1928 Billboard magazine. Here, September 8, 1928. And this is from the 1950s Theater Arts magazine. Look at how pretty this one is. You can see the whole picture there. Isn't she lovely? Viola Allen. And then I've just inserted over top here the 1926 ledger page, which is, and it's, read all of this when you get it. It is fun to go through. You know that expression, I'm living in the past? I really am. If I could transport myself back, but still have a microwave, I'd be really happy. Okay, so this page here is from the French Almanac, Paris, France. And that's this one, 1938, to have a few of these. And that one's from Paris. So this one is June 29th and June 28th. If you want me to add a date from this almanac that's meaningful to you, just let me know when you purchase it on Etsy and I will include it, because I am wonderful. So here is a little page that I pulled out of a book, Home is Best. And look at this pretty, pretty little children's book page. And just a little bit of lace here to make it prettier than it already is. Oh, shadow puppets from a children's book, children's craft book actually. And I made this pocket out of an antique book page. And of course, I'm a big fan of the interior spines for texture in my books, as you know if you follow me. And what's this? Oh, okay, so this is from the advertisement on the back of a vintage recipe book. That would have been the people who supported the fundraising for that recipe book. And these I just found in an old book. And I didn't want to throw them out because I love how they're discolored. So, a little journaling space here, mounted on top of that 1945 dictionary page. And if you're lucky enough, you get one with little images. This is from a vintage atlas from the 50s, Reader Digest. And this one is on space. What do we got here? Oh, this is from the Etude 1920 music publication, and that would have come out monthly, and it's everything music on here. So this is a really good one. That would have been the center spread. So this one is advertising music sheets. Is that fun? You know, people who want to go to school to be a musician, all kinds of ads for that. And there's that lovely vintage atlas page on space. And this color chart here, which is for a map, but it's pretty. And I made this little booklet here out of a very pretty page topper on an antique book, and just used my scraps in there. Made a pocket, vintage doily, and more shadow puppets. You too can try these at home. More clusters I made out of my scraps. That's just a little flip-up page of antique paper on top of a 1930s music sheet. Vintage sewing pattern. And one of these lovely, oh, this is a fancy tea party. Actually, this looks like the roses from the cover of the book it came from, Glamour and the Hostess. Wonderful vintage book on how to throw lovely parties. Not using paper plates like you would get at my house. Okay, so this is another Billboard magazine page. And I made, oh, that's one of the original pages from the book. I wanted it to live with the book for journaling. 1926 ledger page, all folded up. There's lots of space here to journal on as well. And some facts and fancies. I thought that was a sweet book page title, so I used that. And this is made out of a French dictionary page. And this is another 1930s music page. I pulled that from a book that has since sold, this journal, Somehow Good. I love that title. And just the end pages of the original book in their beautiful discolored originality. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that tour. It's going to be on Etsy shortly, and don't forget to subscribe so you can see them before they go on Etsy, and visit etsy.com/shop/hyperstamper with a capital H, and I will see you soon.